Okay, good afternoon. We're in Port Orange. We're in Summer Trees. It's April 4th, and we're meeting with Carol Kalachi, the president of the Fire Union, Local 3118 of Port Orange firefighters, and the vice president, Jim Hammonds. I'd like to find out Carol, when did your last contract get signed?
Well, we've been operating under our status quo contract, which has expired back in 2008, and that is what we're currently operating under.
And I'll ask Carol again, what are the main points that the city management and the fire union cannot agree upon?
The biggest hurdle seems to be the pension. Our previous negotiating teams, as well as our current negotiating teams, in a combined effort, have offered somewhere between 20 and 30 different pension proposals in efforts to fix the issues that we know are the biggest problems within the city, because, you know, with the unfunded liability increasing and so forth, not only are there concerns for the firefighters to have a pension that's going to be there for when we retire, but we also recognize that there's a burden upon the citizens as well because of the taxes. So we've offered several concessions to decrease our benefits significantly, along with contributions rates somewhere in excess of 10%. And that offer is still on the table and continues to be rejected.
Does the city, if you're able to talk about these details, does the city feel they want more than 10%?
You know, we feel as though the city has given us a moving target to try to hit with a blindfold on. Each time that we've offered these proposals, they've been rejected. And oftentimes we'll not get an answer or a reason as to why the proposals have been rejected. What I do know is that the city has spent around $17,000 on an actuary that they picked in order to run studies. And they've taken our pension proposals into consideration, the resolved contract proposal into consideration, as well as the city's proposals into consideration. And the offer that we have given puts our pension at 80% funded per their actuary's numbers in 15 years. And that doesn't even factor in the premium state dollars that come in each year from the state, which is roughly $300,000 a year. So you would see even more savings from that. I don't know why. You know, the last negotiations we went into, we gave even further reductions in our benefits, and we were told, we're rejecting your proposal. No reason why.
I remember when the impasse was going on, and I guess it was almost 4 years ago, or at least 3 years ago. But the city's statements were that they wanted the fire union to, I think, if I'm correct, they wanted the fire union to treat the negotiations as a total package, and that they wouldn't discuss what I call line items or single components. Are they still maintaining that kind of a approach?
I believe they've led us to believe that the pension was the biggest issue, and if we were able to come up with a viable solution, which we believe we have multiple times, then, you know, the other items were not as significant because there wasn't as much of a monetary impact that would be associated with those items. So that was the crux of the problem. That's what we focused on, and if you recall from our impasse, our attorney had sat in front of the council members and stated, we'll even go as far as freezing our wages for 2 years on top of the concessions of the pensions, and that was also rejected. And actually, didn't you say that the previous negotiating teams had offered other concessions as well?
Yes, there was a negotiating team right at the very start that offered to take all the lawyers off the equation and just talk about the pension. We were just going to offer to pay 8% into our pension starting right then while we talked about all these other issues. And they said no, they didn't want to accept that either. So we could have been paying into our pension all this time while we're trying to settle these other, really what the minor issues, and we were just rejected there also. So there's really no reason that we can think of why they keep rejecting these offers. I mean, they're good offers, they're saving the citizens money, but they keep saying no.
Hmm.
It's beginning to feel like it's more emotionally driven than it is logically being driven.
Hmm.
When you start to look at the way our department has become basically a skeleton service compared to the other departments within the city, other departments are hiring new employees, they're receiving raises, so on and so forth. We've lost nearly all of our administrative staff. We haven't replaced those individuals, which is a cost savings to the city. And we've also lost line fire personnel that haven't been replaced.
You're operating at a bare minimum, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I really do. At almost unsafe minimum.
Now, let me see if I understand. If I got this correct, the city is not proposing exactly what they want for your contribution for the pension plan. They want you to come up with a proposal, and maybe they'll accept it?
Correct. We've asked them numerous times to put their thoughts into writing, to give us an idea of what our target goal is so that we can go in there and maximize our time and work towards the efforts to fixing the issue, and they have been elusive at best.
Wow, I always like to interject my own opinion. When this first started, I didn't like the idea of you accept the total package. To me, that did not seem like a negotiation.
It hasn't been a fair negotiation.
And I guess coming from civil service, I saw the handicap it is for your union to negotiate this way. And now we're 4 years down the road, and they're still not saying, here's what we'd like to have. That's not negotiations. It's like, it does sound to me like, let's see how high you can go.
Yeah, we bargained in good faith the entire time. You know, we went in with good proposals, multiple proposals that would save money. I've been told no every time. They actually want to put a 6% wage reduction on us. It's not going to do a thing to solve the unfunded liability that we're facing. Like I said, we've offered to pay as much as 10% into our pension, and we just keep hearing no.
How much are other fire unions, personnel, paying into their pension? Would you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's somewhere roughly between 8 to 9% is what you'll see, and depending on what the benefits packages are usually going to be what your benefits are going to be for your pension. Now, we have a fairly good pension plan. Now, years ago, our firefighters used to pay 8% into the pension in an effort to increase the salary of the firefighters to make us, comparable to the other cities around us. The city chose to reduce our pension contributions from 8% down to 0.5%. Well, none of us being financial experts, we looked at that and said, well, thank you very much. Somebody's going to keep a watchful eye over something and make sure that things go smoothly. That wasn't the case. Now the burden has been placed not only upon our backs, but upon the citizens' backs to try to fix this issue. I want to know where on the city level has anybody taken responsibility for that. Somebody made executive decisions based on what the unfunded liability was. All these red flags were waving around going, hey, the unfunded liability is increasing, the pensionable payroll is increasing. All these red flags are being waved. What was done to fix that?
Yeah.
And in order for us to stay competitive with other departments, we realize that paying 0.5% isn't going to cut it. We have to, in order to maintain the benefits that we would like to have to make us competitive with other departments, we need to start paying in.
Jim, let me ask you. In the newspapers and editorials, there seems to be a reaction from a lot of the public against civil service unions and the benefits that they, up until now, had been enjoying. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of those numbers are skewed in the city's favor. They're not giving everybody the information they need to make a decision. And that bothers me a lot, being, I've been in this profession for almost 30 years, and I do it to help people. I'm not going to be rich doing it. There's a big misconception that we're all going to retire and enjoy these lavish pensions. Yeah, some people do. I mean, some people have taken advantage of the system. I mean, they haven't done anything illegal, but they've done what's there to pad their pensions. But that's not, the vast majority of people don't do that. So that bothers me a lot when people are against